Hey guys, Sarah Halina here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the book of Boba Fett, so stay tuned. Alright, so first I'm going to dive into my non-spoiler thoughts, so that way if you haven't seen the book of Boba Fett yet, you're maybe on the fence about it, you can hear what I thought without getting spoiled. And then I'm going to dive into my spoiler thoughts. Book of Boba Fett is kind of exactly what it sounds like, and yet not at all what it sounds like. Basically, we're following Boba Fett and Fennec Shand as they try to make a name for themselves in the galaxy's underworld after taking over the territory that was once controlled by Jabba the Hutt. So, yeah, if you saw the post-credits scene to the Season 2 finale of Mandalorian, you know exactly how Boba Fett is now sitting on the throne with Fennec by his side. While this show takes place slightly, immediately, I don't know, after The Mandalorian Season 2, you don't necessarily need to have seen it to understand this show. Now, don't get me wrong, you definitely get a little bit more out of it if you have seen The Mandalorian. This show flashes back to moments from kind of both seasons-ish of The Mandalorian, and if you've seen The Mandalorian, you can say, hey, I know this moment, I know how we got here. But if you haven't seen The Mandalorian, it just looks like another moment in the book of Boba Fett, and it's not too confusing to try to fill in the pieces. I feel like you will need to have seen episodes 5 to 7 of Book of Boba Fett to understand Mandalorian Season 3. If you know, you know. Grogu. This show honestly feels like 3 different shows in one. Like, there's the story that's being told in the flashbacks that basically, shows what happened to Boba Fett after the Star Wars Return of the Jedi. And then there's the story being told in the present day, showing Boba and Fennec, doing their thing, I guess. And then there's a whole other story being told starting in episode 5, which, like I said earlier, plays into setting up the circumstances for Mandalorian Season 3. In regards to the flashbacks and the present day story, it's pretty easy to determine which story we're in because they have, I guess, different tones to them, but also the flashback story is played out during a very specific circumstance in the present day. It's really confusing to explain without spoilers, but rest assured that if you are watching the show, there is something that happens in present day, and it happens a lot in present day, and in that moment we get flashbacks. It's a slower paced show than I expected, and honestly, it didn't need to be. It's a show with 2 bounty hunters, one who has been established as the most dangerous bounty hunter. Like, it could have easily been really action-packed, but instead they decided to slow things down, and normally I wouldn't have minded if we had actually spent time delving into the characters and the different dynamics and their motivations for doing things that they're doing, but we didn't. Ultimately, I really, really wanted to love this show. Like, I love Fennec Shand. I mean, Ming-Na Wen can do no wrong. And I do love Boba Fett. But honestly, the show was pretty lackluster, I guess. Like, I found myself watching episodes, on the weekends or even like a week or two later because I just didn't care enough to watch the episodes first thing Wednesday mornings. Like, I feel like it should have been a show that, waking up early Wednesday morning, turning it on, watching every episode, getting into it, and instead, it wasn't. So take that as you will. Alright, so now I'm going to be diving into spoilers for the Book of Boba Fett. So, if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it, come back here, hear what I thought. First, I'm going to start with what I loved. The acting. Tamora Morrison and Ming-Na Wen are just gems. Like, I wish the show had given them a story worthy of their acting talents. But, they didn't. Basically, Tamora Morrison, Ming-Na Wen, fantastic actors. That's what I loved. I also love the way they incorporated the flashbacks. Now, I do think the flashbacks were slightly overused, but I did appreciate the way that they used Boba's healing chamber to allow him to dream the events that followed the Return of the Jedi. It was a rather unique way to show flashbacks. And so I appreciate the different take on showing flashbacks. Grogu lives. He lives, guys. He lives. Now, I think they should have held off on showing Grogu again. And I certainly think he could have stayed out of this show altogether. But we saw him, and we saw him make his choice. Luke made Grogu choose between staying with him and becoming the first student of Luke's Jedi school, even offering him Yoda's lightsaber, or the second choice, to take the little tiny shirt that Din Djarin made for him, and he chose the shirt. So, Grogu's not going to be killed at Luke's Jedi school? That's a plus. Now on to what I didn't like. Oh boy. Okay. So first thing I didn't like, and it kind of keeps going with this theme, honestly. Mandalorian Season 2.5. AKA episodes 5 to 6 and a bit of 7. I enjoyed The Mandalorian. I think, honestly, The Mandalorian is my favorite Disney Plus Star Wars show. But to have episode 5 be a whole Mandalorian plot to the point where Fennec got maybe a minute of screen time at most, and Boba Fett got 0 screen time, just really irked me. Like, it's the book of Boba Fett, and we had an episode where Boba Fett doesn't appear. What? And then episode 6 is a very similar situation, except I guess the plus of that is Boba does appear for a brief moment. If I remember correctly, he doesn't say anything. He's just standing there, but we see his face. So I guess we can call that a win. It's just, it's just sad that in a show titled The Book of Boba Fett, we had to spend basically 2 episodes with no Boba Fett. Like, and what's even worse is that it seemed like the show would pick up momentum in episode 5 because we seemingly wrapped up the flashback story. We kind of, lined ourselves up to, where we all knew everything that was happening. And it's like, okay, we've wrapped up the flashbacks. Let's see, some of the present day action. And instead, we come to a complete halt to tell the Mandalorian story. And honestly, they will probably revisit these moments when Mandalorian returns for season 3. Look, Din Djarin could have returned. He could have. He could have returned to help with whatever was going on. I don't think we needed 2 whole episodes telling his story and sidelining Boba Fett. And to a lesser extent, Fennec Shand. Like, I don't know. 2 whole episodes where Boba Fett is either not seen or Boba Fett doesn't do anything of significance. It's like, why? Now, also, I love Grogu. Clearly. Feed me. It's just one of the many Grogu shirts that I have. But his return to Din Djarin cheapened the emotional impact that the season 2 finale of Mandalorian had. Also, when he returns, it's like in the middle of a big final battle, so we don't even get a good reunion for the 2 of them. It's just sort of like, hey kid, how's it going? Oh, bow, bow, bow. And it's like, it just seems like Grogu has taken off so much in the Star Wars world that he has to be included in every single Star Wars show. Now, I was hoping that we would have Mandalorian Season 3 without Grogu, or at least half of Season 3 without him, but, I mean, we couldn't even have Book of Boba Fett without him, and he had, next to nothing to do with Boba Fett, except for Boba Fett and Fennec Shand helped him, be freed from Moff Gideon. I don't know, I just feel like Grogu was not needed in this show. And this is coming from a huge Grogu fan. Like I said, seriously, so many shirts. I think I have at least 4 or 5 Grogu shirts. Honestly. And I love Grogu. But he was not needed in this show. Now, while I appreciate the way that they incorporated the flashbacks, I talked about that in the what I liked section. They began to get very tiresome and somewhat repetitive, and we spent so much time on them. Seriously, I think we spent more time on the flashbacks than we did in present day. It was kind of jarring to go from, flashback to present day, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. I can't figure out why it was just so jarring for me. And I don't know, but I think even though the present day didn't really have much going on, I would have rather spent more time in the present than in the flashbacks, because there was potential for present day, but it was like, oh no, we're gonna have an hour-long episode, and 50 minutes of it is going to be, the flashbacks, and 10 minutes is going to be present day. And it's like, okay. I mean, it's a choice. It's not the choice I would have made, but, to each their own, I guess. Another thing that I wasn't really fond of was the fact that the first 4 episodes had nothing going on. The episodes were close to an hour long. You know, they kind of averaged around 50 minutes. And I feel like nothing happened. Nothing really happened in the flashbacks. Nothing really happened in the present day. Like, sure, there was some progression made and some things were happening sometimes, but for the most part, nothing was happening. And then we cut to episode 5 and 6, which, you know, basically is Din Djarin's plot and have nothing to do with the first 4 episodes. And then episode 7 happens, and we have this huge, long battle that was basically the whole episode. And there weren't many stakes because either we knew characters were going to live. I mean, they weren't going to kill Din Djarin because Mandalorian Season 3. But also, like, they had a whole bunch of random characters that they didn't do a good enough job setting up. Sure, maybe they had potential, but we never really got to see that potential because we didn't spend any time with these characters. And it's like, I don't care if they live or die at this point, like, because I don't care about them. Like, I'm like, I care about Mandalorian, I care about Boba Fett, and I care about Fennec Shand. You know, I guess Boba and Fennec weren't safe because we don't know whether Boba Fett's getting, you know, the book of Boba Fett's getting a season 2, whether they're going to appear anywhere else, but we knew Din Djarin was going to be safe, so it's like every time he was put in danger, I was like, okay. Like, we know they're not going to kill him, so yeah. Now, honestly, I'm just going to end it here because truthfully, I can't remember what happened in this show. Like, I remember episode 5 and 6 had nothing to do with Boba Fett. I remember episode 7 was basically the big battle that they were, in theory, building up to in the first 4 episodes. But nothing happened in those first 4 episodes, so I'm like, I can't remember what happened in the show. Overall, I think the Book of Boba Fett had promise, but just never really reached the level that it could have. Now, they had compelling characters, they had fantastic actors, and an interesting enough setup. You know, all of those things, you know, make this show have this huge promise to be fantastic, matching the level of, you know, Mandalorian, if not surpassing the Mandalorian, and instead it just fell short. And I really wish it was a good show, guys. I really do. But honestly, I'm not even sure I hate it. I'm not sure I love it. I think for the most part, I just feel meh about it. It was a show where I just couldn't develop any strong feelings either way, except for my dislike of the Mandalorian Season 2.5's plot, because I really hated that. I don't know. Let me know. What did you think of the Book of Boba Fett? Am I being too hard on it? Was it actually better than I thought it was? You know, I feel like there might be a lot of differing opinions here. I don't know. But let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you like this video, leave a like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you can be notified when I upload my latest videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye, guys.